Hello, my name is Veronica, and welcome to the Learning Lab for my Spring Easter card episode. And I have this envelope sitting here because I want to show you that, yes, my card does indeed fit into a legal size envelope. I have just been so enamored with tall cards lately that that's all I've been wanting to create. The only thing about my cards is that there is some bulk at the bottom, which normally I do try to avoid, but come on, this is the resurrection of Christ we're talking about. So I don't mind. It cannot be canceled by machine. It's not machinable. That's what the U.S. Post Office calls it. It has to be hand canceled. And my postage is probably going to be somewhere around maybe 65, 75 cents. We'll see. But that's okay. I can live with it. Okay, so come on in and let's go to the card. Now, my card base, of course, starts out like this. And I have a whole video showing where I got the cutout from using my Cricut craft room and how I also cut to get the inside. So now to get started, on the outside of my card I did a grass and sky background. Now I debated finishing filming this last portion of the card because I had gotten really ill. I was off work for almost 5 days and I'm still recuperating. So if you hear a horrible cough from me, I'm going to try and delete that out because I'm still working on getting over it. I don't think it was the flu. I'm not actually sure what it was. But anyway, in addition to having this card and this for the inside, my cover started out as this piece. And I had to doctor it up, of course. So what I did, took some of my Glimmer Mist. This one is Olive Vine. And this one is appropriately Blue Skies. And that's what I spritzed this with. I covered up the bottom part and spritzed my blue, and then when I was ready I just simply flipped it over, moved it around a little, and spritzed my green. And from there I just used a variety of distress inks to shade in my grass and my sky. And that's what I'm going to do now, and I'm going to speed that part up just to show you a little bit. And if you don't want to see that, feel free to fast forward. And now that defines some of the highs and the lows in my sky. If you're concerned about the landscape going across there, you can always go back in with your green or your blue and work on blending that out. Not a big deal because after we put on all these layers that are coming, you'll barely notice it. So there is the background. Now, next layer going up are my clouds in the sky. On my original card, which I will share with you, I use this Doris embossing folder which has clouds, and what I did was I put through a piece of acetate and I took some white paint and painted over those and fussy cut them out to make my clouds on my original card. Well, on this last one I wanted to try something a little different. So I'm pulling in just some white pigment ink, and I'm sure chalk ink would work even better, or some opaque, and a couple of Q-tips. And what I'm going to do is just add some clouds into my sky. Don't want to add a ton, but I do want to give the subtle illusion that there are some clouds there. It's going to give some variation in the blue as well. Again, a good deal of this is going to be covered, so don't be too painstaking about it. And there you have just enough of a subtle hint of white clouds in the sky, and just to break up some of all of the bluiness. Prima acrylic color, and it's an iridescent white. Let's put a little of this on there and see how our card comes out. Okay, so let's see, here it is. And I did use some of this on my acetate clouds that I cut out from the Doris folder, some of this acrylic. Oh, and you can see how that really does pop on that background. Okay, I think I like that even better. So let me play around a little bit with this. Just going straight from the Q-tip. And that way I can have clouds coming off the edge. Low on the horizon, just a few. cirrus ones. That looks kind of good. All right, moving on to our next step, which will be the grass that will go across the bottom of the horizon. Now there is a video showing how I did my grass, and I just simply spritzed it with some more of that olive vine. I just kind of laid out where I wanted my grass to be, keeping it low on the horizon. But if I do something like that, about that, that looks pretty good. And I don't need that big one. And I am, of course, going to apply this with one of my favorite adhesives, my Glossy Accent. And I like doing this because this paper is not only textured, but it's also embossed, and I really want it to stick down. So I do like using a liquid glue. Grass in place. Next, I'm going on to my chicks, which are going to sit on the top. And there is a link showing to a video showing how I created these cute little chicks to go onto my card. Now, for my chicks, I did end up putting bows on them. So I have my solid piece, and then I have my pattern piece that I cut out. And again, using my favorite adhesive, I just glued the two together. And it did make a little difference of not having the background on. I had cut out a ton of these in this beautiful glittery paper. But then once I put it on, it just didn't have the impact that I was looking for. And I knew I needed something on the background. And so you can see it a little clearer on here. It just makes a difference having it there. Okay, so bring on the chicks, right? Okay, here they come. So at this point, I knew because of my tag that was going to go across here, I couldn't put my largest one at the back. So he was either going to be the first one in line or the second one in line on the grass there, with some of the other little chicks coming. And I think I like that arrangement, so I'm going to get them glued into place. And some of them I popped up just using some of the Recollections foam dots, just for a little variation. So here I think I might pop up the pink and the purple, and the rest I'll just glue flat to the page. I neglected to put glue on the lifted up feet of my chicks, so I need to do that so I can hold them into place. My next step is to get all of this adhered to the front of my card. And on this particular card, I am using this beautiful blue base, and I've gone ahead and put that pretty paisley paper on the inside. I want to say on my original, I went ahead and adhered this down before I put my chicks on. I'm almost certain I did. Don't know why I didn't do that this time. But it's okay. And when I'm gluing down a cover, I think I've shared this before, yes, I tend to use a whole bunch of adhesive because I don't want my card to come flying off the cover. And this one's pretty heavily embellished, so I'm really looking out for it. Okay, so here we are. And the main thing on this is just to match up this bottom piece and the curves, and it should be pretty good. Okay, all down. Now the next thing to add is my banner. That is just simply going to go across the top. Now you can see why I couldn't put my really large chick down there. She wasn't going to fit. Now it's along the bottom that my bulky part really comes in, and that's where I created these cute little flowers. And I also made a video showing how I put those together, and the leaves that I cut out to go with them. So what I'd like to do is just put together one of the leaves and flowers to show how I did it, and I'll just continue putting together the card. I do have to tell you that I did use glue dots for these. I just took one of my flowers, pressed it to the bottom of the glue dot, and from there I just placed my leaves where I wanted them to be. Then when I was ready to adhere it to my card, again going back to my favorite adhesive, swirled some around on the bottom, found a place for it, and put it onto my card. And I'm just going to get the rest of these flowers put into place. If you want to distress your leaves, I won't pulverize that dog. If you want to distress your leaves a little bit, just go ahead and feel free to do that prior to sticking it to the bottom of your flower. His head is in my lap. I promise you, he's doing it on purpose. I know, he wants me to play with him, but not right now. I want to finish this video. He's nudging the ball. Ow, come on, get down, Spencer. So, back to what I was saying. You can distress out your leaves a little bit by shaping them and curling them. And then my last one is in place. And that is the card so far. So now let's get to the inside of this little cutie. So I picked up this set of stamps from Hampton Arts. And I thought, well, I can use Hippity Hoppity Easter was my first thought. And I thought, no. So I went to Happy Easter to You and the cute little girl holding the bunny beside it, because I thought, oh, I can color all these in using my Spectrum Noir markers or my color pencils, whatever I had. I could like really jazz that up. But I got sick and I knew I wasn't going to do that, so I went out. Here's what I did instead. I stamped these. This is using Memento ink, and I used my Spellbinder dies to cut it out, and this one happened to be cut in a circle, and I didn't have another circle cut, but I did have this shape cut. And so what I'm going to do is just mount her here. I used the Happy Easter to You, that's how it came out, and this is the shape that I used, the label, to cut this one out. So the only thing I need to do is pop this back in the die, and then just ink around the edge. I did take my ink pad and just kind of went around the sides with whatever was left. Yes, I go through quite a bit of adhesive. It's okay. Whenever I'm in the store and I have a coupon and I have nothing else to use it on, I purchase some glossy accents, or I pick up an ATG refill for my gun. There's a little splotch there that came from my ink pad when I was stamping it, but this doesn't bother me. My cards are handmade, not store-bought, and they are not going to be perfect. Okay, and there is the inside of the card. Happy Easter to you, and there's the outside, wishing them a very, very happy spring. And as I said in the beginning, this does fit inside of your legal size envelope, but you're going to have that bumpiness at the bottom, which comes from the flowers. But you know what, when they open it and see this beautiful handmade card from you, I think the recipient is going to be so impressed and just love it. Up here is where I cut out the clouds from the acetate and that I painted over with some of the iridescent paint. There you can see it, but here it just looks like beautiful white clouds. And I did the same technique on the inside of the card, just using different Spellbinder shaped die. Please click on the links in the description bar, or those that have been hopefully implanted into the video, if you want to take a closer look at any of the techniques that I used to create this card. Again, I debated on filming this last part, but I thought I put in so much work to it, why not? And hopefully it'll spark an idea for you for a holiday that's coming up and how you can shop your stash, use what you have, and get some cards cranked out and just have fun doing it. As always, thank you for joining me in the lab. Please be sure to check out my blog at inkallusions.blogspot.com. Happy Good Friday and happy Easter, and may you all be blessed. Until then.